Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today is the 24th of December, 2020. Alright guys, I know a lot of you are probably, taking your holiday break right now, getting ready for Christmas. For me, it is going to be Christmas tomorrow. I've already had my Christmas Eve, because I'm living in the future in Australia. But yeah, I think the news for the next few days is going to be probably not as kind of active as it has been in crypto, right? There's going to be less news. Projects aren't going to be putting out updates and things like that throughout this break because there's just less people online, less happening and things like that. So I will keep doing the Daily Gwei Refuels over the holiday break, but they might be shorter given that there's doesn't seem to be too much going on right now. But still, I still wanted to do them to give you guys something to listen in on, relax to while you're kind of relaxing on the holidays. And I still think there's stuff that's going to happen. I think maybe there's just going to be drama because people are bored, and when people are bored, they like to start drama, right? Crypto is global, so not everyone celebrates Christmas and all that sort of stuff. So, those people are probably going to be online. Nothing's going to be kind of different for them. But I guess around New Year's, there's going to be, a lack of kind of news coming out around then. I don't actually know what date New Year's Eve falls on. But if it falls on a weekday, I'll probably skip doing that day for the Daily Gwei Refuel. So just a heads up there. But I will be putting out a yearly recap towards the end of the year, probably maybe even just like early January, that recaps the entire year of 2020. I'll record a whole video about that. That'll probably go for, a couple hours given how much happened. So, I'm gonna get that done over the holiday period because I really think that 2020 was like a massive year for Ethereum and especially DeFi. So I wanted to kind of like give a recap there to kind of give some context into kind of like how far we've come, not just with, I guess, price, but, that came a long way, right? We started the year at $130. We're up at like 580 at time of recording. And then obviously all the project updates and everything, but I'll jump into that properly when I do the video. You'll be able to see it on that video, and I'll be recording that shortly. But for now, let's get into today's news. So, there's so much regulation FUD or regulation like related news coming out lately, which is just kind of like annoying at this point. So Jake Chavinsky put out a tweet today saying that the President's Working Group on Financial Markets has issued a statement calling for on-chain stablecoin KYC. An open quote, stablecoins should have the capability to obtain and verify the identity of all transacting parties, including for unhosted wallets. And he's taken this directly from a Treasury, press release here. So I guess this follows on from the regulations that we saw play out over the last couple of weeks with kind of, self-hosted wallets and things like that. But this is targeting specifically stablecoins. Now, I think stablecoin regulation is going to be a thing, right? Especially the centralized stablecoins, because it's just an easy target. Circle and Coinbase kind of, manage and issue USDC, super easy target, right? The other stablecoins that are much smaller, like TUSD and things like that, easy targets. DAI with Maker, not a very easy target, right? Maker is actually, pretty decentralized. There's no like backdoors and things like that in there. The governance process is pretty slow, which is actually good in this case. Obviously we've got Tether, which is probably raising a lot of flags here as well. Tether is, it's not regulated, right? It's like outside of kind of like the US legal system. There's a lot of drama surrounding Tether and things like that. So, I expect stablecoin regulation to come, but this regulation just screams like amateur hour. It doesn't make any sense really. Verifying the identity of all transacting parties on kind of the Ethereum network when you're sending stablecoins and all that sort of stuff. For one, it's unscalable regulation. Like, this is just basically going to mean that exchanges will basically say, well, no, we're not going to let you transact with your stablecoins on your own wallets because it's just too much hassle for us to track. Because it will fall to the exchanges to track this and the fiat on-ramps and things like that. Because, the individuals aren't gonna do this sort of stuff. The individuals aren't going to submit their address and KYC it to use stablecoins. So the stablecoin issuers and the exchanges and all that, they're just going to cut it off if this was actually made into law. Now, Jake goes on to say in his thread, he doesn't think there's any chance that this becomes an enforceable rule or law anytime soon. Apparently, this is just more of Secretary Mnuchin's personal views coming out on pretty looking stationary before his tenure ends. So for those who aren't following US politics, I mean, I'm sure you all know about the presidential election, but Secretary Mnuchin, the current Treasury Secretary, he will be going out when Biden comes in January, which means that he's got maybe another month left, I think, or less than a month left at this point. And then that's it, basically. And then it falls to the new administration to put forward these sorts of things if they want to or don't want to. So it's not a huge concern here, but they're coming, right? The regulators are coming. They've left us alone for a little bit, but they're here now. And I don't think they're going to be going away anytime soon. I think they're just going to keep trying to regulate. They might come out like really strong, but then it'll get watered down. But there will be regulations that come into, DeFi, stablecoins, especially anything that's, touches like, I guess, the fiat on ramps and the exchanges, like the majority of the time, like stablecoins are definitely first on the hit list. So going to be keeping an eye on this. I think this is going to be big going into 2021. Now that I guess Bitcoin is part of the macro narrative, right? Bitcoin's getting a lot more, like attention, which means DeFi is getting a lot more attention. Ethereum's getting a lot more attention. Stablecoins as well, because stablecoins aren't just obviously in the Ethereum ecosystem, but they're also within Bitcoin too. So I think we're going to see a lot of that play out. And yeah, I think this is going to be a strong narrative going into 2021. I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of these regulations come forward. So going to be keeping an eye on that for sure. All right, a new feature from Etherscan yesterday. So this feature is very welcome. Etherscan isn't the first to do this. There's been a lot of teams, a lot of tools come out with this kind of feature. And basically what it is, it allows you to review and revoke access to spending your tokens from any smart contract. Now, for those who don't know about this, I'll explain. So obviously, whenever you interact with a new DeFi protocol with a token, it requires your approval to spend that token. So you would have seen, an approval transaction come up on your MetaMask or whatever. You have to approve that. Then you can use your tokens within that kind of DeFi protocol. And most of these approvals are what are called infinite approvals. So what this means is that you're giving permission to this particular smart contract or DeFi app to spend all of the tokens that are in your wallet at that time. So just specific to the token that you've approved, but say, you have like USDC, you approve, infinite approve on USDC, and you have 1,000 USDC, that smart contract can, in theory, draw 1,000 USDC from you, even without your approval, because you've already given it approval to spend your USDC. So, and then on the other hand, there are some apps like Curve that let you do approvals just for the amount that you're trading with. So say you're doing a Curve trade for 1,000 USDC, for 1,000 USDT, for example, you approve just that transaction. The downside of that is that it's costly in gas, because every time you go to do a transaction with that token on Curve, you have to approve again. So that's why infinite approvals have been popular, because it's just once, it's better UX, it's better on gas fees and that sort of stuff. But unfortunately, it means that you have that issue, and you always have that danger of a rogue contract being able to withdraw your funds without you even knowing. So this tool from Etherscan lets you basically connect your wallet and see what like apps and contracts and what they belong to have approval to spend what tokens. So you can see in the screenshot here, for example, the DAI stablecoin contract has the ability to spend unlimited DAI. The wrapped BTC has unlimited BTC on Uniswap. So on Uniswap, the wrapped Bitcoin, Uniswap has unlimited permission to spend all your wrapped Bitcoin. So on here, you can basically revoke that by clicking the little button you can see on the screenshot there on the right-hand side. This will cost you a transaction to do, so it'll cost gas. So maybe you want to wait till gas is cheap to do this. But I highly, highly, highly recommend going here and revoking old kind of contracts that you've approved, especially because a lot of us did stuff in DeFi summer. There's a lot in there that you've forgotten about. I can't recommend this enough. Even if it costs you like $50 to do this in gas fees, it's worth it. So yeah, I'm really glad Etherscan did this. I have provided this tool. Obviously, there are tools that existed like this before, but Etherscan is very popular, so having it on there is even better. And on that topic, Etherscan is just such an amazing tool. I mean, obviously, like you've all used Etherscan at this point. They're not just amazing because they let you, view your transactions and things like that and view your addresses, but they have so many little cool features on there as well. So, they let you do things like look at the price of ETH at when the transaction happened. So if you had a transaction that went through and you sent ETH to someone a year ago, they've actually got like a little info kind of section there now that tells you what the price was at that transaction point. So that's really great for accounting purposes as well, right? They provide like a ton of different information. They have a breakdown of the transaction so you can kind of look at what it's doing. They have visual cues as well. I mean, at this point, Etherscan is just such an integral tool for Ethereum that I can't believe it's free, right? They have ads, of course, but it's not like they charge you to use Etherscan. Every single feature is free, which I think is really amazing. So, kudos to the Etherscan team. They've been around forever. I mean, I'm pretty sure they've been around since almost day one Ethereum. They've definitely been around since 2017 and all that, and their uptime is amazing. They've only gone down a couple times in the last, that I've been aware of in the last few years, I think. It might be more than that, but from my memory, it's definitely not very often. So yeah, amazing service, and I'm really happy to see they keep adding these features that are very important for people, right? This is definitely very important. So I'll leave a link to this in the YouTube description. I definitely recommend going and checking it out. And make sure that you check it out on all of your addresses, not just one, because you might have used the other ones during, DeFi summer or whatever, and you've forgotten about it. But yeah, I can't recommend this enough. So definitely go check this one out. So stablecoin on-chain volume has crossed the $1 trillion mark this year. And the majority of this happened on Ethereum, with having 83.5% of the share. The Tron and Omni blockchains followed next with 14.5% on Tron and 2.1% on Omni. So obviously, the majority happened on Ethereum for obvious reasons, right? DeFi is incredibly sticky. People want to do things on DeFi with their assets, and people want to do a lot of things with stablecoins. We saw stablecoin farming being extremely popular. It's still extremely popular, right? Curve has, stablecoin farming ongoing. Yearn, Harvest Finance, all those things. It's just stablecoin farming. Stablecoins are incredibly great for trading, especially on decentralized exchanges, arbitrage, things like that. So it's no surprise, right? $1 trillion is quite amazing, though, when you think about it, right? I think last year it was, it's actually broken down here. So last year it was 248 billion. So we've effectively 4 times the total transaction volume for stablecoins on, I guess, not just Ethereum, but like Omni and Tron, I guess, as well. And then, you can see back in 2018, it was 100 billion. And in 2017, it was 13.5 billion. So we have come such a long way. And I mean, I was just talking about stablecoin regulations and how they are basically coming. I mean, this is why as well, right? Because the growth has been so explosive that it's now on the regulators' radars, especially given that Tether is the dominant stablecoin with 73% share of the on-chain volumes, USDC at 15%, and DAI at 7%. I am actually curious, and I really hope to see this become more even. I really hope to see USDT actually become less than 50%, basically. Probably, ideally 30% or less, and then USDC become, maybe 30%, DAI kind of 30%, and then 10% miscellaneous. I also kind of think that, you might think, well, why don't we just encourage DAI, the decentralized stablecoin, to be, the majority? Well, there's lots of problems with DAI. It's not very scalable. It loses its peg quite often, right? It's not, because of the fact that it loses its peg, it has much less appeal for traders and things like that. But yeah, I hope that we see that, but I just don't see it happening. I think centralized stablecoins are way easier for people to use and trust, and the peg issues don't really exist with them because they're backed up by dollars. Whereas USDT is funny, right? Because it might not be backed up by dollars. We don't know for sure. 1-to-1 in a bank account, but it still retains its peg quite well, which is quite funny as well. So yeah, I hope to see that change. But huge milestone for Ethereum here, $1 trillion. That's crazy. That's really crazy. So yeah, I guess let's see what 2021 brings. Can we get this up to 10 trillion? I don't think so. As bullish as I am, that's a lot. Maybe we can get it to 2-3 trillion. I hope that it's more than $1 trillion. I hope that we, just didn't have a kind of growth year this year and then we have a down year next year. I mean, I don't think there's any chance of that happening, but it's always there, right? There's always a chance. So going to keep an eye on this and see what happens in the new year. All right, whoop, there we go. It's refreshing. So Awaki from Gitcoin posted this tweet today saying that they had just passed $10 million in funding for open source software on the Gitcoin platform. This is great. This is really, really great. $10 million coming from the community, coming from different matching partners during the Gitcoin grants rounds, going towards funding, basically all Ethereum open source software, open source media, developers, all this sort of stuff. And you can see the breakdown on the chart here. If you look at the Q4 2020 all the way on the far right, you can see that Gitcoin grants obviously accounts for a lot of it, if not most of it. Most of the money being raised, which makes a lot of sense because you have the matching funds, you have people donating, right? These rounds are pretty popular. Then second, it looks like bounties as well. So people are using Gitcoin as a platform to get stuff done that they want to get done, which is really, really awesome. And then next after that, it seems tips and ads are basically almost neck and neck as well. And then, you have ecosystem and kudos, which is some smaller things there. But this is, look at this growth, right? Even this growth from Q3 to Q4, it's not double. It looks maybe about 35-40% more growth since Q3 into Q4. But just in 2020, it's just grown so much and it's kept going up, which is really amazing to see. So congrats to Gitcoin. Obviously, I am a beneficiary of this as part of the Daily Gwei and ETH Hub, so it's been amazing. Some of you might have been as well. You might have grants up there. I hope many of you have donated to grants in the past on Gitcoin. I don't see a downside to it at all. But yeah, congrats to Gitcoin on this and onwards to 100 million. Maybe we can get that in 2021. Let's see how it plays out for sure. So I put out this tweet today that there is now over 2 million ETH in the ETH2 deposit contract. Now, I know I've spoken about ETH2 and staking a lot, right? This is just, I've said it in the past, right? We said we were going to struggle to get to 524,000 the minimum. We got there, we blew past it, and now it just seems like we're just rocketing up. 2 million ETH that is basically worth, I don't know off the top of my head, it's over $1 billion, definitely. I think it's maybe at 1.5 billion or something. I don't know. I can't do head math on that right now, but yeah, it's quite a lot of dollars in there securing the beacon chain. There's, I think, an over 2-week validator queue now to get into the beacon chain if you want to stake. It's been running extremely smoothly. Speaking of the chain, slashings are going on as they should. The clients are running really well. So yeah, really, really great to see that. Don't know how, I think it took like 38 days to get to 2 million or something like that. I don't know how long it's going to take to get to 3 million. Maybe we'll slow down here. I'm really curious to see when it slows down. I don't think it will for quite a while. But yeah, so there's 2 million ETH kind of locked away, which is over 1.5%, I think, of the total supply of ETH. Probably closer to 2%, the total supply. The current total supply is 112 million or something like that. Again, not going to do head math on that. But yeah, really great to see this with ETH2. All right, lastly, an extremely bullish thread from Lucas here. So, this thread basically goes over what I went over in the Daily Gwei data pump video that I did. If you haven't checked that out yet, it's on YouTube. But basically what he's done is he's put together this thread that goes through on-chain kind of analytics for Ethereum and points to kind of 10 Ethereum charts that have already hit all-time highs in 2020. Now, the reason he's done this is because, BTC crossed all-time highs last week. ETH is still sitting, 50% below its previous record. So if this has got you down, he's got you covered. So he goes through here, and you can see on the screen, the utilization rate for the network is still at all-time highs. We all feel that with the gas fees, right? Ethereum capacity is maxed out on ETH1 right now. There's just so much demand to use the network. Ethereum's hash rate is at all-time highs, despite the fact that we just launched a proof-of-stake blockchain, right? Total ETH options open interest is also at all-time highs, and it's approaching $1 billion. So this is, institutional maturity, kind of adoption here in the mostly, centralized exchange space. But still, you can see the growth here. It's basically all within the second half of 2020. It's grown here, which is really, really great. DeFi users are at all-time highs, of course. It just keeps going up. We've got over 1 million users Now, obviously, people have multiple Ethereum addresses, so it's not 1 million individuals. If I had to wager, I'd probably do 2 to 300,000 kind of like maybe unique users in terms of active users as well, and basing that off MetaMask as active users as well, and taking into account that people have multiple addresses. The total value locked in DeFi is at 15 billion, which is a new high, of course. DEX volumes are, they obviously spiked during DeFi summer and rose a lot. I mean, you can see on the chart here. Oh, the chart's actually small here, but you can see on the chart here that they spiked and then they've come down a bit, but they're still higher than they were in 2020. BTC on Ethereum is obviously really high. ETH in Grayscale, in Grayscale's kind of investment trust is very high as well. I think 2.3% of the total supply is in that, and that's like a black hole for ETH. Like, that's not coming out once it goes back in. Stablecoins obviously at all-time highs here, and ETH in the deposit contract is also on an all-time high there. And then he links to his piece in the kind of Bankless newsletter where he goes through this and explains it in more detail. So I think this is an incredibly bullish thread. I mean, it basically mirrors what I did in my data pump video. I think looking at on-chain data is always extremely healthy, especially, as he says, when you see the price and like BTC is at all-time highs, but ETH isn't, you think, why is this the case? And then you look at the fundamentals, and the fundamentals just keep getting stronger. I think the reason why BTC is at all-time highs is because of its institutional macro adoption, where you have these billionaires, saying we're going to buy all this BTC, which obviously plays out in the markets. Some of them are saying they're going to buy ETH as well, but it's not as prevalent, right? I do think ETH is poised to have a very strong 2021. Obviously, overnight, we had a bit of a crypto apocalypse, which was a bit weird, I guess, maybe opportunistic kind of traders and whales because it's the holiday period. But I'm not going to give like a full market analysis here. I just know that Ethereum is poised to have a really, really great 2021. And all of these kind of metrics are at all-time highs. And I expect that to continue into 2021 for sure. All right, that's it for today's episode, everyone. Thank you for watching, listening. If you haven't yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit the thumbs up button on the video, subscribe to the Daily Gwei newsletter, join the Discord, and I will see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be Christmas, but I'm going to record a refill for you guys so that you can keep up to date with what's happening. So yeah, thanks everyone.